what is going on? Why do people have this like predisposition to think that all of us are evil, horrible people? Hi everybody, it's MoriMademoiselle here, back from a long hiatus. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you're a new subscriber, welcome. I wanted to take this opportunity to let you kind of know what happened. So I've been super busy. I got a new job. Everything is going super good. I just took a little time to myself and now I'm back and with more content. So I'm super excited to share that with you. Also, in addition to new content, I will be releasing my brand soon. I already kind of have a brand, but it's a little bit more geared towards like anime and stuff like that. And now I would like to focus more on J fashion, specifically Lolita fashion. I will be making hair accessories, head bows. I already have some kawaii head bows. They're kind of old, so whatever you see on my site is kind of old. But I'm also looking at expanding into couture, which is including like skirts, JSKs. I want to make it really plus size friendly, especially in the West. You don't see too many brands in the United States. So I wanted to join the ranks of a couple other brands that are based in the United States. And I look forward to showing you what I got soon. So all that out of the way, I got really inspired, not necessarily in a good way, but I got really inspired to make this video because of a lot of, not drama, but a lot of discussion in the community. And it's not a discussion that just recently came up. This is a discussion that happens all the time. It is like, it goes away and then it comes back and it goes away and it comes back. Every time there's a wave of new people joining the fashion, especially with how the pandemic kind of brought a lot of people who are looking for a hobby to come into, I've seen it even more. So what am I talking about, right? So I am specifically talking about like the community being toxic, the community being horrible, mean, elitist. You know, I made a TikTok a couple months ago about how all Lolitas are horrible, mean, elitist people, and then saying, why is that? What is going on? Why do people have this like predisposition to think that all of us are evil, horrible people? Is it because we're bad? No. How many people do you actually see acting like this? Very few. Do they exist? Yes. I'm not saying that these people do not exist, but I am saying that the community in itself is not revolving around that. We are not some mean girl stereotype. Just because our fashion is predominantly women-based, of course we have everybody of all different genders and also in between. So it is not just female-based. So to assume that all Lolitas are just catty, mean bitches is honestly, it's a little misogynistic, because a lot of people just think because we're a community of women that we're all of a sudden just always competitive with each other, always hate each other, always at each other's throats, making fun of each other behind each other's back, constantly posting to CGL, constantly posting to Behind the Bows, or making shamey posts and stuff like that. That is not the case at all. Do you see people doing this? Yes. Are these people lowlives with nothing else to do? Also, yes. That doesn't mean that every single person in the fashion is like that. Now, moving on. So, sorry, this just gets me really upset because it's just, this community is one of the most welcoming communities I have ever been a part of. Like, I'm talking like literally every community, like anime, gaming, and obviously you could say like, oh, but those are male-dominated hobbies, so that's probably why you weren't welcome. And it's like, maybe, but we're still welcoming here. So, going on to my next point, I see a lot of people throwing around that Lolitas are classist, Lolitas are elitist, Lolitas are this, Lolitas are that, just because our fashion, by the inherent nature of our fashion, can become quite expensive. Is this the case? No. people are throwing around a lot of buzzwords that they hear just because it sounds shocking and it sounds like this is horrible. This is a horrible thing to call somebody, and that's what you are. And it's like, you need to be very aware of where these terms come from and what they truly, truly mean. It is not classist to say XYZ brand is more expensive. If that is not in your budget, try this, that, and the other brand. That is not a classist thing to say. That is genuinely trying to help you. If you state that you have a budget and brand is not in your budget, that is fine. Literally nothing on my body right now is brand. This is Puvethel, which is a wonderful indie brand located in the United States. She makes jewelry. My ring is also Puvethel. I also have this. This is Soufflé Song. I got it for like $10 on Lace Market. This, I bought it off of Depop. It's from a brand called Widow. I will never support Dolls Kill, so I bought it more expensive on Depop than it was on Dolls Kill. This dress right here, this is Alice Girl, and it's one of my favorites. Like, I think this dress was like $40. Like, you don't have to make... Oh, and then also these necklaces and the rest of my other jewelry is just stuff that I find on like garage sales or in Goodwill, like thrifting a lot. Like, this wig was $10 off of Taobao. I have a huge... I spent so long making that video and trying to remember every single possible thing that you could ever want to know. Go check it out. It's in my, it's the ultimate Taobao guide. It is in my channel. It should probably be the first one. It's my most popular video so far. Anyway, I don't want to sound like I'm being ranty and I'm being like really angry about this, because I'm truly not. It's heartbreaking for me to see so many people think that that is what our fashion is, that it does kind of rile me up a little bit, but not because I'm angry. It's just because, like, I just feel like people are not giving the chance. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard for me to explain. So anyway, going from there, I do want to touch on another couple other, like, points about that, about being elitist and about being, you know, a stuck-up prissy asshole, I guess, is what people like to say. Elitism is basically saying, if you do not wear brand, you are a less of a person. And that by like all intents and purposes is absolutely not true. Like, literally, I don't think I have ever once seen somebody say, if you do not wear angelic pretty, Mame Moitié, Metamorphose, Baby the Stars Shine Bright. Like, I've never once seen a person say, if you do not wear brand, you are not a Lolita. Literally never. And if they have, it's probably like one person who thinks like that, and they are an elitist, and they are an asshole, and we should not accept them in our community. Like, that's just point blank. Once upon a time, there was like Taobao and Bodyline are lesser. That largely has gone away. You can see a lot of coordinates with, I mean, almost everything I'm wearing here is Taobao except for the the Western indie brands that I mentioned. And like, you're looking at all these things through a lens that is just not existent anymore. Like, I don't think it ever really was a lens. I only semi-frequently kind of browse Lolita spaces back then, but like, I never was part of the live journal days, so like, I'm not exactly sure how that was, but I can speak for now. That is not how Lolitas operate. We are very much, budget conscious, size conscious, and we go, oh, hey, these are brands that are good for you if you have this, this, and this. Like, if you are on a budget, here's a wonderful brand. If you are more plus size and you're having a hard time finding dresses that you like, here are some brands for you. Here are some resources. There's plenty of Facebook groups just about positivity, and like, I'm part of the plus size positive group, and I find it to be a wonderful place to be. And like, and every single community is going to have a couple assholes that ruin it for everybody. But to label the entire community as just horrible people, like I said, and I will continue to say throughout this video, is not accurate, and it's not right. Like, you see people calling people elitist, and you say that like, Lolita fashion has a racism problem. I mean, there are a couple people on CGL who say you shouldn't wear Sweet Lolita if you're black. Like, you shouldn't wear Gothic Lolita if you're Hispanic. You shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, just because of the color of your skin. Like, those people are extremely rare, and it is very easy to avoid them. Just don't go on those websites. Don't go on Behind the Bows. Do not go on CGL. Like, a lot of those places, remember that CGL stands for Cosplay Gothic Lolita. It is not... It is not just Lolitas, and it's anonymous. So by that anonymity, I can't speak. By that anonymity, you are finding that a lot of people in there actually do not wear Lolita fashion, and therefore their opinion is completely invalid. I made a whole video about how CGL is not worth your time. Like, am I going to get people in the comments saying, oh, but CGL has some great resources, this, that, and the other? Like, that is perfectly fine. But those resources are easily available anywhere else. I'm a moderator in several communities, and I find that the amino is super nice. And for all those people who are going to be down in my comment section because they were in my TikToks saying, oh, the amino is horrible because everybody's so mean and that and the other. A lot of these people are not telling you the full story. There has been several people that I have called out for outright lying that we were cruel and mean to them because I was there for them. And I was there and I saw what had happened. They broke rules repeatedly. They made people feel incredibly uncomfortable. We do have support chats for that. However, you need to understand that in these groups, there's a place and time for everything. You know, extremely triggering conversations happening in the guide and beginners chat is not acceptable. You go to the support chat because that is where people have already consented that, hey, I have consented to you telling me your story. If it's triggering, that's fine because we've consented to be here. Like, a lot of people keep forgetting that consent is a thing. Like, the reason why we get so up in arms when somebody posts DDLG content is not because we hate all DDLG content and because Lolitas are some Puritan race and all we do is, oh, but thou shalt not sex. Do not bring it into the fashion. Kinks are not welcome. And that is non-negotiable. Like, you can be a kinky individual outside of the fashion, and that's totally fine, and we support that. Lolita fashion is an inherently feminist fashion. Our fashion is made so that we are rejecting what people stereotypically think is sexy, and we're going, hey, you know what? We want to wear these really pretty, fancy, crazy, like, fluffy outfits just because it makes us feel good. Like, we're not doing it because we're inherently repressing something in our minds, or we're, you know, we have something going on that our mental illness is making. That is not the case. Do some Lolitas use their the fashion as a coping mechanism for their mental illness? Yes, I'm one of them. That doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, we're all screwed up in the head and that's why we're so terrible and mean people, because we're lashing out at people who, have nothing to do with us, but, you know, this is all we know is to lash out and be mean and cruel and evil and make fun of all the new people. Like, that's not true. What happens is and that is why I made a 3-part documentary series. I feel like I'm just repeating myself in one long ranty video. Anyway, so, and if I laugh, it's because it's like a weird tick that I have when I get in a stressful situation. I laugh. So I'm not making light of the situation. Do not think of that. But anyway, you know, you see, especially new Lolitas, like, I'm sorry to have to put this out there, but we're going to have a real discussion for a second. New Lolitas are really what are making the community seem bad. Let me explain before you go off. So what I am seeing here is that, especially because of COVID, and a lot of people are coming into the fashion because they want a new hobby and they want to make friends, which is awesome and it's great, and we want to welcome you. Have a great time. A lot of people are coming in with the thought that they already know what Lolita is. And that is just, like, it's a phenomenon that you see a lot in any group, that you don't want to seem like an absolute newbie. You want to seem like you know what you're doing already, so you can impress your senpais, so you can impress the people who have already been and be like, wow, you're such a great person, like you're new but you already know so much, that's so great. And I think where people are getting lost is they're trying too hard to run before they can walk. So they're making these coordinates that are not Lolita, or they are, missing some core elements, or they're not 100% there. Like, they're good, but they're not 100% there yet. And they're like saying like, oh, this is who, like, these are my things. Like, I'm so good at this. This is, I'm a Lolita now. And it's like, okay, yeah, like, welcome to the community. We love to see it. But, here's some constructive criticism. And I almost 99% of the time, the constructive criticism is really nice and well worded, well meaning. We give you constructive criticism because we want to see you succeed, right? So we're giving you this constructive criticism so that in the hopes that you would take it and run with it. And all of a sudden now you're making better and better coordinates. That was me when I first started. I was like, oh, give me all the constructive criticism that you can absolutely possibly give me, because I want to get better, and I want to get better now. I don't want to get better later. I want to be good now. But other people I've noticed, and not every newbie is like this. Please don't take me as like hating all newbies, because that's not at all. Like, I'm a moderator in a newbie community because of this. Like, I want to help people. I'm seeing a lot of people taking that as a personal affront. And I understand why. And I get why. You put so much time and effort into picking out things that you like, but you weren't 100% there yet. You weren't ready to 100% pick it out yet. And it's not a fault of your own. Like, that is not something that you should be ashamed of, or feel like you need to quit, or feel like, you're less than because you weren't able to do it right your first time. Almost nobody can do it right on their first time without extreme amounts of coaching. That's just not possible. Like, you can do all the research that you want, but until you practice it, it's really something that you don't have the experience to do yet. And that's not wrong. You get better by practicing. You know what they say, practice makes perfect. You pick up a violin the first day and you can barely play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and your form is wrong, the techniques are wrong, like, you're just not there yet. And that's not a problem, because then all of a sudden 10 years down the road you are playing in the symphony orchestra, and all of a sudden you're a professional. And so you see, like, everyone starts from somewhere, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. And I think what needs to happen is that newbies, or people who are like Lolitas at heart and lurk and don't really know much, I genuinely think that they should take a step back, listen to the constructive criticism that they are offered, and try and make themselves better from there. Like, and are there some people out there who are just not good at giving constructive criticism and it comes off as rude? Yes. Most of the time, though, they do it from a place of, like, we care about you being here. We want you to see this coordinate through. We want you to see this be better. And I think we keep forgetting that. And, what you can tell that person, say, hey, I'm sorry, but your comment came across as rude. Like, I don't want to take it that way, so can you please explain? Instead of just going and crying about it and quitting everything and throwing a tantrum, like, communicate, please. That we are adults. Most Lolitas are adults. Are there minors in the community? Absolutely. But I feel like this is a great place to learn that communication is a very important part. Not all Lolitas out there are going to be evil and horrible and absolutely hate your guts. That is not the case. So I think we really need to take a step back and understand, are there terrible people in the community? Yes, there are terrible people in every community. Is every single person a terrible person in the community? No. I care about you guys, and I care not only about the people who subscribe to me, but I care about people who are new to the community. I care about people who are old to the community. I just care about our community a lot. So to see us constantly painted as a horrible community and a terrible place to be is just, it truly breaks my heart because I do not see it at all. And I'm in a lot of groups, in a lot of communities, and I see a lot of interactions. And honestly, I think that our label as being catty bitches is honestly just a, it's just a terrible label that we don't deserve. And what makes me even more mad is people saying, oh, the gothics are fine, the classics are fine, it's the sweet Lolitas. To me, that reads as extremely internally misogynistic or externally misogynistic. It's just, people wearing pink does not make them Regina George. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it today. Like I said, leave a comment if you want me to talk about something specific and near and dear to your heart. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Consider this as I'm back. And I'd love to see you guys. And thank you so much for joining me. Bye!